Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's English practice session. I'm excited to share 3 fascinating stories with you. Each story will help you practice different aspects of English. Listen carefully and try to understand the main ideas. Don't worry if you miss some words. Focus on the overall meaning. Story. Last Tuesday morning, Sarah discovered something unusual outside her apartment door. A brown package sat quietly on her doormat, but there was no delivery notice, no return address, and definitely no explanation of how it got there. Sarah lived alone on the 3rd floor of an old building downtown. She rarely received packages, and when she did, the mailman always rang her doorbell. This package, however, appeared silently during the night like a mysterious gift from an unknown sender. She picked up the box carefully. It was surprisingly light, almost as if it contained nothing but air. The package was wrapped in plain brown paper, tied with ordinary string. Sarah shook it gently near her ear, hoping to hear some clue about its contents, but the package remained completely silent. After 10 minutes of hesitation, curiosity finally won. Sarah cut the string with kitchen scissors and slowly unwrapped the paper. Inside, she found a beautiful wooden music box, painted with tiny blue flowers. When she opened the lid, a gentle melody began to play and a small ballerina started spinning gracefully. Attached to the bottom of the music box was a small note written in elegant handwriting. For the woman who always hums while making coffee in the morning, your music brings joy to apartment 2B. A grateful neighbor. Sarah smiled widely. She had never realized that her morning routine had touched someone's heart. Sometimes, the most wonderful surprises come from the kindness of strangers who live closer than we think. Now, let's check your understanding. Where did Sarah find the package? What was unusual about this delivery? What was inside the package? Who sent the gift, and why? What lesson does this story teach us? Think about your answers. These questions help you practice understanding the main points of English stories. Our second story is about Michael, a young man preparing for the most important job interview of his life. Sometimes our worst days can lead to unexpected opportunities. Let's see what happens when everything goes wrong. Story. Michael had been preparing for this job interview for 3 weeks. The position at Data Tech Solutions was perfect for him, a junior software developer role that matched his skills and dreams exactly. He had researched the company thoroughly, practiced common interview questions, and even bought a new suit for the occasion. The interview was scheduled for 10 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Michael set 3 different alarms to ensure he wouldn't oversleep. His plan was simple: wake up at 7 a.m., have breakfast, review his notes one final time, and arrive at the office by 9:45 a.m. However, nothing went according to plan that morning. First, all 3 of his alarms failed to ring because of a power outage during the night. Michael woke up naturally at 9:15 a.m., feeling confused and panicked. He had exactly 45 minutes to get ready and travel across the city. He jumped out of bed, took the fastest shower of his life, and put on his new suit. While rushing to make coffee, he accidentally spilled it all over his white shirt. With no time to change, he grabbed a sweater to cover the stain. The subway was delayed due to technical problems. Michael waited nervously on the platform, checking his watch every 30 seconds. When the train finally arrived, it was so crowded that he could barely breathe. During the journey, someone stepped on his foot so hard that his shoe broke. Michael arrived at Data Tech Solutions at 10:35 a.m., 35 minutes late. He was sweating, limping slightly, and his hair looked like he had been in a windstorm. The receptionist looked at him with surprise and concern. "I'm here for the interview with Mr. Johnson," Michael said, trying to sound professional despite his appearance. "Oh dear," the receptionist replied kindly. "Mr. Johnson had to leave for an emergency meeting, But don't worry, he asked me to reschedule you for tomorrow at the same time. Michael felt relieved but embarrassed. I'm so sorry about being late. Everything went wrong this morning. The receptionist smiled warmly. Actually, Mr. Johnson will appreciate your determination. Most people would have given up and gone home. The fact that you still came shows real character. The next day, Michael arrived 15 minutes early, perfectly dressed and well prepared. During the interview, Mr. Johnson mentioned the previous day's incident. He said, "I heard about yesterday's adventure. Tell me, how do you handle stress and unexpected problems?" Michael answered honestly about his experience, explaining how he had tried to solve each problem as it occurred. Mr. Johnson was impressed by his resilience and problem-solving attitude. 2 days later, Michael received a call offering him the job. Sometimes, our worst moments reveal our best qualities. Let's review this story. What job was Michael applying for? What went wrong on the morning of his interview? How late was Michael for his interview? Why couldn't he meet with Mr. Johnson that day? How did his difficult experience actually help him get the job? These questions help you practice identifying cause and effect in English stories.
Our final story is about Emma, a city resident who discovers the power of bringing people together. This story shows how small actions can create big changes in our communities. Emma had lived in the same neighborhood for 5 years, but she barely knew her neighbors. Everyone seemed too busy to stop and chat. People hurried past each other on the sidewalks, focused on their phones or their daily routines. The sense of community that Emma remembered from her childhood seemed to have disappeared completely. The empty lot next to Emma's apartment building had been unused for as long as anyone could remember. It was filled with weeds, old newspapers, and forgotten garbage. City officials had discussed various development plans over the years, but nothing ever happened. The lot remained a sad, neglected space that everyone ignored. One spring morning, Emma decided she had seen enough. She had recently read an article about community gardens and their positive effects on neighborhoods. The idea excited her. Imagine fresh vegetables, beautiful flowers, and a place where neighbors could actually meet each other. Emma spent her weekend researching community garden projects online. She learned about soil preparation, plant selection, and the legal requirements for using public land. The process seemed complicated, but Emma felt determined to try. Her first step was to contact the city council. After several phone calls and emails, she discovered that the lot was indeed available for community use. The application process would take time, but the city officials seemed supportive of her idea. While waiting for official approval, Emma decided to talk to her neighbors about the project. She printed simple flyers explaining her vision and slipped them under apartment doors throughout the building. The flyer read, "Let's create something beautiful together. Community garden meeting, Saturday, 2 p.m., building lobby." Emma worried that nobody would come to the meeting. Saturday afternoon arrived, and she waited nervously in the lobby with homemade cookies and printed information about community gardens. At exactly 2 p.m., Mrs. Chen from apartment 4B appeared, followed by the Martinez family from the second floor. Slowly, more neighbors arrived. By 2:15 p.m., 15 people had gathered, more than Emma had dared to hope for. There was old Mr. Peterson, who had been a farmer before moving to the city. Young Lisa brought her 2 children who were excited about the possibility of growing their own tomatoes. Even grumpy Mr. Williams, who usually complained about noise, seemed interested in the project. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Everyone contributed ideas and offered to help with different aspects of the garden. Mrs. Chen volunteered to organize work schedules. The Martinez family offered to provide tools from their hardware store. Mr. Peterson became the unofficial garden advisor.
sharing his farming knowledge with enthusiasm. 3 months later, the empty lot had been transformed into a thriving community garden. Neat rows of vegetables grew alongside colorful flower beds. A small seating area with recycled benches provided a place for neighbors to rest and chat. Children played safely while their parents tended to their plants. The garden became more than just a place to grow food. It became the heart of the neighborhood. People who had never spoken before now exchanged recipes and gardening tips. Saturday mornings became social events, with neighbors working together and sharing coffee. During harvest time, everyone contributed to community meals featuring the garden's produce. Emma discovered that creating change wasn't about having special skills or unlimited resources. It was about having an idea, taking the first step, and inviting others to join the journey. The garden taught the entire neighborhood that when people work together toward a common goal, remarkable things can happen. 1 year later, the community garden had inspired similar projects in 3 other neighborhoods. Emma had accidentally started a movement that brought people together across the entire city.
Let's check your understanding of this final story. What problem did Emma notice in her neighborhood? How did she get permission to use the empty lot? What happened at the first community meeting? How did the garden change the neighborhood? What larger impact did Emma's project have? This story demonstrates how individual initiative can create positive community change. Today's stories included many useful intermediate-level words and phrases. Mysterious package, something unknown and intriguing. Job interview disaster, when everything goes wrong during an important meeting. Community garden project, neighbors working together to create something positive. Determination and resilience, not giving up when facing difficulties. Taking initiative, being the first person to start something important. We practiced several important grammar structures. Past tense narrative forms. Sarah discovered. Michael had been preparing. Past continuous for background actions, while rushing to make coffee. Past perfect for completed actions before the main story. Had researched the company. Conditional phrases. If you miss some words. When people work together. Try retelling one of these stories in your own words. Start with the main events, then add details. This exercise helps you practice using past tenses naturally and improves your storytelling skills in English. Final encouragement. Remember, improving your English fluency takes time and consistent practice. These stories provide natural examples of how English speakers use the language in real situations. Keep practicing regularly and don't worry about making mistakes. They're part of the learning process. Thank you for joining today's practice session. See you next time for more English stories and conversation practice.